Good morning once again, and welcome to the second segment of the program, which is the Breakfast Show. The Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act 2018 is a significant step forward, but implementation remains a challenge. Unfortunately, persons with disabilities face significant barriers in accessing education, employment, healthcare, and social services. Yes, and this is largely due to inadequate accessibility infrastructure, such as ramps, accessible toilets, and sign language interpretation. So today, we are discussing a crucial topic: disability inclusion through accessibility rights and practices. Joining us in the studio today is a guest, Comrade Augustine Onyeachonam, State Coordinator of Association of Accessibility Professionals of Enugu State. He was formerly the Secretary of Joint Association of Persons with Disabilities, Enugu State, JONAPWD. You're welcome, sir, once again to the program.
Yeah, thank you, and welcome. I'm welcoming everybody on board. Thank you.
What is the current state of disability inclusion in Nigeria?
Actually, like in your intro, you really say you introduced the issue of the law coming into force in Nigeria, and then a step further is that Enugu State government have domesticated this law in Enugu State. So the law, everything is set for us to start using it for personal disability, but the problem is implementation is just at a very snail stage. The thing is not really taking off in many parts of Nigeria. Enugu State in particular, we are just getting grip of it, coming up to say we have a law that protects the rights of persons with disability in the state. And I will just say it at this beginning. Enugu State is coming up, because why I say we are just coming up is this. The government of Enugu State, the governor himself, has made a promise, has given us his word, that is going to come up with a disability commission in Enugu State in the first quarter of this year. And we are very hopeful that he's kept to his word, because this is the main institution. This is the main platform for that implementation. Once we have a disability commission in the state, disability persons in the whole of Enugu State will be captured in the budget of Enugu State. The disability individuals programs we start rolling off with good and a steady and a gradual process that will, with time, the impact will start coming down on every person with disability in Enugu State. So this is the stage we are in as far as implementation of the law is concerned.
What are the significant barriers faced by persons with disabilities?
The barriers are too numerous, and that's where my association comes in. Association of Accessibility Professionals. What we are in the system of this, in the community of persons with disability, to do is to make sure that the accessibility aspect of the law is implemented to the letter at every sector, at every aspect of the society. The government, the corporate bodies, the social environment, and including the ICT world. The accessibility aspect we are fighting and we are pushing that this accessibility is activated and implemented, so that persons with disability will not be cut short or will not be found wanting in any aspect. Association of Accessibility Professionals is a global body. It's a global body. We have the International Association on this accessibility issue, and we now have it at the national level. Very functional. It came on board in November last year, and we thank God we are starting it now in Enugu State. Accessibility is the key, because inclusion is not possible until accessibility. Without accessibility, there's no inclusion. Without accessibility, there's no inclusion. And that without including person with disability in whatever you are doing, they are leaving person with disability behind. So accessibility is the key. I will now explain more with time. Let me explain more on the aspect of accessibilities.
I would like to ask you, your association, which has to do with professionals, are those uneducated included? Because I know there are some people who are disabled who are not educated, some are into street begging and all do menial jobs. Are they included?
The association you are looking at, you are hearing now, is not purely a person with disability association, but it's now professionals that are in accessibility work. We are talking of architects, civil engineers. We are talking of professionals. We are talking of government heads, people that implement government programs. How are they making their programs accessible to persons with disability? That's what we are talking of. So our association is for everybody, because we are working for all persons with disability to make sure that anywhere they enter, that they have access to it. Anywhere they have need to enter, is it a hospital? Is it a school? Is it a corporate body? Is it a company, private company? Is it a hotel? Is it anything you can think of that any person with have need to have access to? How accessible is that place? And now in the internet world, it may be. I heard one time that a commissioner of education asked this question: what use is laptop to a blind man? And lo and behold, a commissioner of education asked this question: of what use is a laptop to a blind man? But as God will have it, a blind man was there as an expert in ICT, and he stood up and told the commissioner that he, a blind man, can teach him computer, and it is new to him. It was a news to the commissioner. This thing did not happen in Enugu State. It happened in Lagos State. And it's not as if I'm trying to downplay anybody. But what I'm trying to say that a lot of people don't know that ICT is a catalyst that brings up persons with disability to a very to almost a normal level with any person, any able-bodied person. So ICT, we now as the Accessibility Association, we are now pushing that this aspect will be highlighted, will be bring to the front burner, that the government, corporate bodies, good-spirited individuals can see a way they can help persons with disability to come up, because it's a question of you learning the skill. As soon as you learn the skill, you are on the same level. Because the advantage here is that even a person with disability having ICT skill will perform more than any other person, because he will be restricted to that his office, and will be making sure that he's there doing the job at any point in time.
What laws and policies protect the rights of persons with disabilities in Nigeria, especially in the cases of discrimination?
The law we have already. If you have a composite look at that law, it did not cover every aspect, but it's a good point to start off. It's a good point to start off. What I'm trying to say is this: if we can implement all we have in that law now, we are better off. And in law, as soon as the law is there, you can also add more to that law. More aspects of the law will be included. Like this accessibility aspect is just when the association is being formed, that they included in the bill, and it has been passed at the National Assembly. So, and it will step down. So everything about rights of persons with disability is a question of implementing what you have on ground. When you implement what you have on ground, then the other aspect will follow up. The other aspect that is not there will now be added. It's a gradual process.
You talked about the implementation of the laws, which is still in process.
Yeah.
Can I know the challenges against this implementation of the laws and policies?
The main the main barrier we have is awareness, and the willingness, the political willingness of government to implement. I'm thanking the governor of Enugu State for giving us a fair hearing, giving us the ear we need. Now we are hoping on full implementation of what he has promised. The implementation, the awareness is the main thing, because when people are still seeing disability issue as a charity stuff, when they feel like, that's when they look at the way of person with disability. That's when you are touched. That's when this is a human right issue. Disability issue is a human right issue. The problem starts that even at the family level, at the community level, persons with disability are neglected, are forgotten. Nobody is even talking about their issue. But we have it that 15% of every population are persons with disability. So when you neglect that percentage, you are neglecting a huge bunch of persons, human beings. So it's a question of awareness. Let people know that disability issues are human rights issues. You should not in any way neglect it or downplay on it. It's very important.
We'd like to know if these laws have been implemented at the federal level.
To a large extent, the federal government is doing much. Because before now, we have nominal persons with disability in different positions in the federal government. But now, we have special assistant to the president on disability, plus the National Commission for Persons with Disability that we have execute is now a parastatal, a full-fledged parastatal that have projects, have programs, have activities going on 24/7 at the national level. So what we are hoping is a stepping down of these activities at national level, at the state level, and then down to the local government level. Because surely, once it gets to state level, the local government will get their share and everybody will start enjoying it. Because a lot of persons with disability are still at the local government level. Most disability is a mobility issue, like the physically challenged. No thank you to the transport problem we're having now. Because coming out from the hinterland to the urban area is a huge issue for a wheelchair user. If you don't have money to charter a vehicle, you are not moving anywhere. The conventional transport will not look at your side when they see that you are a wheelchair user. They will not look at your side. Even as a visually impaired somebody, they will be skeptical about taking you if you don't have somebody that's going with you, that will lead you. Say, if you get to where you're going, how do you know, and all that. Not to talk of a deaf person. Deaf person cannot, because you didn't see his disability, he will just join the queue and be now observant of where he's going. So what I'm trying to say, that persons with disability, they are more in the hinterland. So whatever we are going to do at the state will be stepped down to the local government level, so that all of them will benefit from whatever government is doing.
Okay. Why are the commitments on rights of persons with disabilities yet to translate into tangible actions?
That is why I keep on talking about awareness, education on issues of persons with disability, not just about the law, not just about our rights, but let the society be aware that these are human beings. Persons with disability are human beings that should be accorded the same right, the same attention in the church, in the hospitals, in schools. Because we are talking of inclusive schools. There are no more special schools. The government don't have special schools. They are just maintaining the one they have. They are pursuing programs that makes all institutions inclusive, that persons with disability will school in the same school that other persons are, so that they will be infused, streamlined into the society. So the main point remains approach and awareness. If you are aware, how do you implement it? You as a government official, you as an owner of a company, you as a head of a parastatal, in the hospital, in the medical line, in the educational line, how do you how do you make provision that persons with disability are not neglected, are not delayed, are not in any way disadvantaged in the program and the function of your whatever your office or your establishment is doing?
Are there some examples of successful disability inclusion initiatives in Enugu State and in Nigeria as a whole?
That's a hard one to take, but let me come in there because what we are fighting for, what I will say about this present government, starting from the former government coming in now, is that the employment angle, we have a good number of persons with disability in the civil service, a good number. Not that it's not that they have gotten to that stipulated 5%. They've not gotten to it, but they are trying in that employment aspect. And when it comes to sports, we have taken over. I say we have taken over in sports. Persons with disability have gone out in international sporting events, and they've won laurels. They've won medals for the nation and for the state. I can remember our governor, the present governor, that honoring one of us for the medals she won for an international program, and the lady is from Enugu State. So what I'm trying to say is that these are the areas. I don't want to be very giving the state government not that they're not performing. They are doing their best, especially now. The main thing that will help the government to really perform in implementing the rights of persons with disability is establishment of this Disability Commission in Enugu State. Once it is done, once that thing is done, it is now throwing the baton back to us, because any commission that is formed for persons with disability will be in charge. To now be the person wearing this, you know where it pinches him most and solving his or her own problem. And I hope that before the end of the first quarter of 2025, we will have a Disability Commission in Enugu State.
How can government build accessible infrastructure projects to make public spaces more inclusive for persons with disabilities?
Government cannot do it alone. I have to say it. Government cannot do it alone. What we need government is championing, once it is written in the law, especially structural stuff. Like I was here some time ago fighting against the project state government was trying to implement then. All the bus stops in Enugu Urban, they were trying to build that time. We complained bitterly that there are no ramps around those bus stops. But as I've seen now that this current state government is doing a new bus stops now, and those ones are very much accessible for persons with disability. So I can see that what we did that time is playing out now. That the new bus stops we are having now are very much accessible, they even have a kind of handrails around it that persons with disability can come around it. It's a very good one. The one I saw, I don't know if is it the same thing everywhere, but the one I saw is very okay. So what I'm trying to say, government is stepping up to do something for our own inclusion.
Disability inclusion is everyone's responsibility.
Yeah.
How can the public advocate for policy implementation and support organizations working on disability rights?
Yeah. Government, I keep on hammering on the Disability Commission because that's where everything revolves around as far as disability issue is concerned. Without the commission, it will just be a private effort like what I'm doing here now on radio. Yeah. But if we have a Disability Commission in Enugu State, everybody goes there to report. And from there, you now push out. And when it is a government establishment that is calling anybody, an institution, on issue of disability, they will listen and listen fast. Because they are no more dealing with an individual. They are dealing with government establishment. So I say everything boils down to that. But then outside that, awareness on the part of the other sectors of the society, the religious aspect, the churches, the pastors, the bishops, the reverend, and how are they relating with persons with disability? Are they still seeing disability as a charity issue? Or have they advanced to the point of seeing disability as a human rights issue? That is very critical. The moment anybody in any position to do any position of implementing something for everybody, recognize that disability issue is a human rights issue. The difference is there. But the problem is when they restrict it to charity stuff, when they feel like, when they are touched, that is the problem. So when you start talking it now, they say you are disturbing everybody. But the person is talking about his right.
How can the people demand accessibility in public spaces and support businesses that prioritize inclusion?
I'm doing it now because as the coordinator of Association of Accessibility Professionals, my primary assignment is to make sure that every establishment, every organization, every private university, private secondary school, they are accessible to persons with disability. Not just structural, behavioral. And then, what are you doing in your ICT? How far is your ICT accessible to a person with disability? These are the issues. And then, general awareness that a person with disability can leverage on ICT and bring himself to the same level with others.
Comrade, can you throw more light on the vision of creating disability inclusion via accessibility rights and practice?
It's my core calling, making sure that accessibility apparatus, devices are made available for persons with disability. Making sure that like I'm coming in this office now, I'm not on wheelchair. But if I'm on wheelchair, the staircase outside here will not disturb me from coming in here. I'm pointing it out to the Radio Nigeria organization that here is not really accessible to a wheelchair user. But for me, that I don't use wheelchair, I'm using crutches. So that is, I can just manage and come in here. But the environment itself is okay. But be aware that if we have a clear pattern that a wheelchair user can use and roll into the building, it makes the difference. So that's part of what I'm here doing, and then I'm looking at doing it in. I'm not doing it alone. It's an association. We have other persons with disability working with me, and non-persons with disability that are also working with our association in Enugu State. That anytime you hear somebody telling you that he is representing AAP, Association of Accessibility Professional, you know that the person has come to do something about disability, about accessibility for persons with disability. So you know that when that person is talking to you, that is talking to you authoritatively and legitimately.
Well, I believe the management of Radio Nigeria is listening and they'll make here more accessible for persons living with disabilities.
Thank you for that.
All right, 7 minutes before 10 o'clock on Radio Nigeria, Cool City FM 92.9. In case you're just joining us, you've been listening to the Breakfast Show, where we've been talking about disability inclusion through accessibility rights and practices. I would like to know, before you go, what can our listeners do to support disability inclusion in the society? Yeah.
The first thing anybody will do is that, one, realize first that you are dealing with a human being. A person with disability is a human being. Once you have that realization, is he or she in your family? Is he or she in your community? Is he in your office? Is he in anywhere on the road? Everybody needs assistance, not just person with disability. But when you look at the peculiar circumstances of any person with disability, realize that you are dealing with a human being created by God. And once you have that realization in you, is a step forward. But the problem is that a lot of people see disabled persons as a half human being. Now let me use that word if there's anything like that. They use they don't see them as they have the same right. Because my mother was explaining her experience to my younger ones. our experience to my younger ones during the war, that when we were somewhere as refugees, that somebody was trying to belittle my little brother because of something that don't concern her. And they were trying to do it as if it is normal. But unfortunately for them, my grandmother was much practical than anybody can be, notwithstanding her education. She fought and resisted it. What I'm trying to say is, persons with disability are human beings and should not be treated in any way less. Once you recognize this fact, it goes a long way to now talk of how do you now bring the person in, how do you interact with the person, how do you relate generally with the person. In the family, I keep on saying this, in the family, in the community, rural community where the person comes from, in the yard where the person is living, all these things are practical things. Government cannot do much on that. It is you as an individual. How do you see this? How do you understand this? It's very important. The moment you are not doing what you're supposed to do, you are failing the law. You are defaulting the law. And the time is coming when the legal system will come up. And once you do this kind of thing, somebody takes you to court, you are going in for some there are fines that are just, you pay fine and you still go to jail for it. So, but this is all included in the law. We are just creating awareness now. Nobody is taking anybody to court now. We are not talking of, please realize that we are fellow citizens in this country. Realize that we are human beings in this community, in this any way you see us. Know that once you do that, generally, persons with disability are humble. I will not say 100%, but persons with disability they are already humbled by their circumstances. So it is not a question of that is something that is practical. A person that always look out for assistance. So for you to get that assistance, you need to be humble. So it is that approach I'm bringing up now, that generally persons with disability are humble. So there is no area of trying to brag or say you are trying to compete to anybody. Give that person that sense of belonging and you see the person appreciates it. Thank you.
So finally, Comrade, before we go, I would like to hear your final words to persons living with disabilities out there who are listening.
Yeah, to everybody, every person with disability hearing my voice now, I want to let you know that it's a new dawn. Why? It's a new dawn. Not just in Nigeria, but in Enugu State. We have a listening governor. We have and once the government takes the front steering, everybody follows suit. Now, you as a person with disability, what are you telling yourself? Are you still dying in silence? That's the first problem. When you fail to acknowledge a person with disability, are you still dying in silence, or are you still feeling that your case is the worst off, that your own is gone, or what are you doing yourself? The first is a self-pity that will kill you silently, nobody will know. Are you still in that stage? Come out of it. Come out of that stage. Look up ahead. There's light at the end of the tunnel. It's a question of queuing in, a question of coming out, a question of knowing that you are a person, that God gave you some talents, God gave you some potentials. It's a question of, can you identify that potential? Can you identify that talent? Can you start working on it? Can you start developing it? Other things will follow.
Well, indeed, keep hoping, for there is still light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
Dear listener, this is where we'll wrap it up on today's breakfast show. Our topic has been disability inclusion through accessibility rights and practices. Our guest in the studio has been Comrade Augustine Onyeachonam, State Coordinator of Association of Accessibility Professionals, AAP, of Enugu State, who was formerly the Secretary of Joint Association of Persons with Disabilities, JONAPWD, Enugu State. Thank you so much, Comrade, for coming on the program.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
We hope to have you some other time on this program.
Ever ready. Ever ready.
Our producer has been Jude Obu. Our executive producer, Lady Cool Heart Joy Obitulata, and our Zonu Director, Ike Chukwese. This is Becky Onyemubi, saying to all persons living with disabilities, keep hoping, keep believing you've got it. Have a wonderful day ahead. Good morning once again.